Hey everyone, I'm Northern Explorer. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be installing a set of Fox Performance Series 2.0 shocks on my 2017 Ford F250. The typical lifespan of a set of shocks is 50 to 100,000 miles. I've got less than 50,000 miles on my truck, so I'm a little bit early with their replacement. The reason I'm replacing the shocks now is because they were the first thing on my truck to start rusting. At least one of the shocks is leaking oil, and I've never been that impressed with the ride quality of the Ranchos. I chose Fox shocks because they have a good reputation in the industry, and the aluminum body will never rust. After turning the wheel for easier access, I used a breaker bar to loosen up the bottom bolt. I then applied liquid wrench to the top nut and tried several different methods to remove it. After not getting very far with my first attempt, and realizing that the top nut can be accessed from under the hood, I fitted a ratchet with several extensions and an elbow and gave it another try. And after that didn't work, I broke out the impact wrench. At this point, I knew I was going to have to cut it off. I returned to the bottom bolt and completely removed it so the shock could hang free. Fox uses an internal floating piston to separate the oil from the high-pressure nitrogen gas. The 2-inch aluminum body not only resists corrosion but also helps dissipate heat faster than steel. The 5/8-inch shaft is made from alloy steel and is chrome-plated. Ford recommends that the mounting hardware not be reused. I purchased the lower bolt and flange nut from my local Ford dealer. A new upper lock nut was supplied with the shocks. In hindsight, I could have made this part much easier by jacking up the frame of the truck and letting the axle droop. Whew. The torque specification for this bottom bolt is 111 foot-pounds. There's one small difference between the Rancho and the Fox shocks. The Rancho shocks have this nut that's welded to the shock body, where a wrench can be used to prevent the shock body from twisting as the top nut is tightened down. The Fox shock, on the other hand, is designed to be held in place with an Allen wrench. The problem with this is that the Allen wrench will interfere with the socket that I'll be turning with my torque wrench. Fortunately, this top nut is only tightened to 46 foot-pounds, which means the shock body can be held in place by hand. That's it. The process for the driver's side was very similar, except this time I went straight for the oscillating saw. The only difference is that the threaded shaft on this side is used as a hanger for a hose. One thing to keep in mind is that the Fox shocks are mounted with the shock body on top. This isn't too hard to figure out with the front shocks since they can only be mounted one way. The rear shocks, on the other hand, have the potential to be mounted upside down. Fox shocks are not sold with shock boots. I didn't think it was that important to have them on the front shocks, but I wanted to protect the shafts of the rear shocks from gravel that will be getting kicked up from the front tires. A set of shock boots made by Rough Country fit perfectly. I removed the spare tire and then got to work on the rear shocks. The passenger side rear shock is located in front of the axle. The exhaust pipe makes access to the top bolt a little difficult. New mounting hardware was also purchased for the rear shock absorbers. Total cost for the front and rear mounting hardware came to $45.05. After setting my torque wrench to 111 foot-pounds, I finished up with the bottom bolt. The torque wrench was then set to 52 foot-pounds for the top bolt. The process was the same for the driver's side, except this shock is located aft of the axle. And this is where most of my ride quality issues came from. This shock had no rebound. If you look closely to the slow motion video that I showed earlier, you will see the tire associated with this shock lose contact with the ground. Fox recommends that their shocks be serviced every 50,000 miles. For the price of $90 each, plus shipping, and considering my truck would be out of service for about 2 weeks, I think I'd rather just buy new shocks when the time comes. I can already tell the ride quality is definitely better. The tires feel a lot more planted, and there's significantly less body roll, which is really noticeable now that I have the camper on. So I'm really happy with how it turned out. But that's it for this one. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.